Okay. So I have some examples of here. I just want to work out a few more problems of practicing some borrowing and trading. Just want to practice a couple of different ones. All right, so let's go ahead and do our first one, guys. Can you set this one up? 38 minus 12. 38 minus 12. Yes, we should. All right, so let's go ahead and subtract this one. 38 minus 12. So we have our back numbers, 8 minus 2. And wants to tell me 8 minus 2 equals 6. And then we go to our front numbers, 3 minus 1 equals 2, 26. This one is pretty simple. It's basic subtraction. We did not have to borrow. We did not have to trade or anything. So we just subtract this way. All right, let's go to our next one, 64 minus 29. 64 minus. Okay, so let's go ahead and subtract this. So we have 4 minus 9. Is that possible? No. To take 9 out of 4? No, this is where we borrow. So remember, we're going to take 10 from 6. It turns into 54. That 10 that we took, we added to the 4 and it becomes 14. We put the 1 to show that now it's 14. So now we subtract 14 minus 9 equals 5. And then 5 minus 2 equals 3. 35. I got it. All right, let's look at our third one. We have 81 minus 46. 81 minus 46. All right, 81 minus 46. So we have 1 minus 6. 1 minus 6. Is that possible to take 6 out of 1? No. So we need to borrow and trade. So we need to take 10 from 8. It becomes 71. Then we turn this, add the 10 to the back number, which makes it 11. So 11 minus 6 is 5, and 7 minus 4 is 3. Throw that away. Throw that away. All right, let's look at the last two. So, guys, I want you to try the last two on your own. Let's see. You can do both of them. The last two on your own. All right, let's go ahead and go over these. So 95 minus 67. Anyone wants to walk us through it? Okay, Dennis, you'll do one, and then Carson, you do the other one. Okay, Dennis, 95 minus 67.
95 minus 67 equals 28.
Okay, can you tell us how you got that? I
You
didn't
can't
ask.
take
I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. 5 minus 7.
can't take 5 from 7.
Okay, what do I do?
You borrow 10.
Okay.
It equals 15.
Okay, this becomes 85, and then this turns into 15. Okay, now what do I do?
15 minus 7 equals 8.
Mm-hmm.
8 minus 6 equals 2.
Good. All right, awesome. Carson, can work out the last one for us? Yes.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
He said 24. Okay. Yeah, that was no borrowing in this. 8 minus 4 is 4. 4 minus 2 is 2. That was no borrowing. So that's something, guys, you have to pay attention to. Some of them you may not have to do anything. So don't borrow, and there's no need to. Thank you. All right, awesome. All right, so you'll start to see this in your book real soon. So you have to pay close attention, guys. Remember, I told you if that bottom number is bigger than the top number, you will have to borrow because there's no way to take that many out of that number, okay? All right, let's go ahead and review expanded form. So I have 632. Let's expand it. 600. All right, how do I expand this? Go ahead, Kinley. 600 plus 30 plus 2. Good. 248. Let's expand it. Dennis?
200 plus 40 plus 8.
Good. 200 plus 40 plus 8. 417.
400.
Uh-huh. 400 plus 10 plus 7. Naraya, last one. 522. Plus 20. Plus 2. Good. Awesome. All right, good. So that is it for our math. That's all I wanted to go over with some subtraction and expanded form. Go ahead and get out your science and social studies. We'll review.
And then reading and then we're done.
All right. Let's go ahead and let's start with science. Reviewing our lesson and covering our book.
No.
All right. Okay. It's gonna probably be almost because. All right, so yesterday we started talking about seeds and how seeds grow, how they travel, different things like that. So on page 52, we started discussing the growth of a tree, how a tree grows. And so a tree, even though trees are really large, remember they're the largest plant in the world, trees also start as very small little seeds, just like a lot of other plants that we plant. Everything starts as a seed. Even trees, they start as a really tiny seed. And then eventually, once you sow that seed, it grows into a really large tree. Now, it takes a long time for trees to get to that point where they grow huge, but a tree starts as a seed. So each tree will begin as a little seed that's planted in the ground. The seed will start to sprout and grow. And if it has all four of the ingredients needed, remember we talked about that, carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, and chlorophyll. If it has all four of those ingredients, then the plant will start to grow. It will burst, it will push out of the ground, and eventually it will grow and it will keep on growing until it has fully grown to the size of a tree. And so, like I said, it takes a lot of years, usually for like really large trees to grow that big. But yeah, that's trees, even though they're really large, they start as a little seed and it needs all four of those ingredients in order for it to grow. So on 54, not 50, yes, let's go to 54 and let's answer the questions there to talk about how a plant grows on 54.
Just put the numbers.
No, I was waiting for you to get there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at it. So let's look at the first one. So out of the four plants, which one would be first? So we have the young plant pops up, the young seed is in the soil, the baby plant starts, the plant is fully grown. Which one would be the number one, the first step, Naraya? The seed is in the soil, so put a number one there because that's the first thing that has to happen. The seed has to be planted, of course. That's the first thing that has to happen. Okay, next one. What will be second after we plant the seed? What will be second? The baby plant starts. That's number two. The baby plant starts.
Oh. Oh, I did the wrong thing.
Okay, what will be number three? The young plant pops out. That would be number 3. Okay, and what would be the last one? Obviously, the plant is fully grown. That will be number 4. Okay. So on page 55, we then began to discuss how seeds travel. So some plants were made a specific way, which helps them to travel different ways. And so we talked about the maple leaf, how it has the way the seed is, it twirls when the wind blows. So that helps it to go elsewhere to, get rooted in the soil somewhere. Then a dandelion, it kind of floats. The seeds float like a parachute. Coconut seeds, they float on water, which allows the coconut to grow in different places. And the touch-me-not has pods. And so when the pods open, the seeds fall and they scatter and they're able to grow elsewhere. And so most seeds will travel by wind and water, but on page 56, we discussed how some seeds will travel by animals. Animals also help to spread seeds to different places. Squirrels will sometimes get seeds and they'll bury the seeds, not because they're trying to plant, but because they're trying to bury it, to save it, but they forget about it sometimes, and the seed eventually grows. We also talked about birds, right? They'll sometimes drop seeds when they're eating other seeds off of a tree or a plant. They'll sometimes drop some of the other seeds elsewhere, and that helps other plants to grow. Some animals are called hitchhikers because the seeds will stick to them, and when the seed sticks to them, their fur sometimes falls off in different places, which helps. So God not only made humans, we also plant seeds, but also animals. He used his animals, nature. They also can help spread seeds in different places. And so it's just perfect how God made it. That's why we have, trees and plants and flowers everywhere, and sometimes in strange places, right? But that's because the seeds probably scattered there one of these ways. Okay. All right, and so let's go ahead on 57. Let's do the do you remember? All right, so number 1, what will happen to an acorn if a squirrel buries it in the ground and doesn't come back for it? What will happen to that seed? It will eventually grow into a tree or a plant. Go ahead and write that. It will grow. Of course. What? You ever wrote sentences with these spelling words? No. You do your spelling pages, but you write sentences today. I had already made that clear earlier. But you see, that's the problem when you talk all day long, you don't hear the instructions that were given. Okay, we have that. Number 2, how do birds spread seeds? How do they spread them? Yes, they eat and sometimes drop the seeds. Okay. All right. And number 3, what are some other ways that seeds could travel? By how? Wind, animals, one more way. And water, wind, water, and animals. Go ahead and, excuse me, write that for number 3. Wind, water, and animals. Guys, okay. Okay. All right, so good. So that is it for science. Let's go ahead and move on to our social studies. Talking about George Washington and how America wanted to become, huh? All right, page 61. A free America. I don't remember seeing one. All right, so a free America. So we talked about how it's still the time of the colonies. It's just time has went on. The colonies have grown. We have 13 colonies at this time. The colonies are growing tremendously during this time. And while the colonies are growing, conflict also began in the colonies as well. And so if you remember, not only were the people from England coming to America to build, to get land and to build in certain parts of the colonies, also the French came as well. And so there was a conflict that arose between the French and the English, the people from England, because they both felt like certain pieces of land belonged to the both of them. And they had this conflict and they could not come to a resolution to figure out who the land was for. So they decided they would go to war about it. The French got the Native Americans to get on their side, to come on their side, and they fought this war, which was called the French and Indian War. There was a man who joined the army during this time, and he was a very brave man, and that was George Washington. George Washington grew up in the colonies. He grew up in the colonies. He was actually from Virginia. When he was younger, he wanted to be a sailor, but his mom felt like he should do something different. And so eventually he joined the army, and the first war he fought in was this French and Indian War. George Washington had a lot of success as a soldier because he was brave. He also knew a lot about the outdoors. He knew about the land. And this was perfect for someone who's fighting on the battlefield, right? Who's fighting out on the land. And so this was perfect for George Washington. And so the French wanted more land in America. They had this war and they fought this war. This was the war that he fought in. After this war happened, colonial life began to get a little harder because now they had a war that happened amongst the colonies. And now the colonies, so remember, the colonies were ruled by England, right? That's why they were called colonies. A colony is land ruled by another government, which England. So the King of England, though he did not live in the colonies, he lived in England, he had the right to control everything that the colonies did. And because of that, he would force the people in the colonies to follow some very strict laws. He would take a lot of their money. He would charge them high taxes. And the people in the colonies got tired of it, right? They didn't want to deal with that anymore. And so a bunch of leaders that lived in the colonies decided that it was now time for them to become free from England. So they decided they were going to write this letter to England, letting not only England, but all the people in the colonies know that they were now free. So on July 4th, 1776, these men got together in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and they wrote this letter to declare, which means to make a statement, and to let everyone in the American colonies know that they were free, that they no longer had to follow the laws and the rules of England, but that they were now a free country. And this letter was called the Declaration of Independence. Okay. And George Washington was one of those men that was there at that time. He was one of the men that signed it as well. Okay. So in 63, so they sent the letter out and news traveled all over the colonies and everyone was rejoicing. They were excited. They were happy because they were like, we don't have to follow those rules anymore. We don't have to pay those taxes anymore. They were excited. They were now free. But I told you, which we'll talk about next week, that's how the colonies felt. But when the King of England receives the letter, he's not going to be too happy about that because the colonies can't just declare that they're free, right? They can't just tell the king what they're going to do. But we'll talk about that next week. So let's go ahead and answer some questions on 63. The did you know? Okay, so number 1, name the boy who grew up in the colonies and became a soldier. George Washington. Whoever's humming, please stop. Thank you. Guys, I don't need y'all to do that.
It's in your mind. Yeah. Make like technique. Stop humming.
Okay. So number two, what was the name of the first war in which George Washington fought? What was the name of that war? Naraya? The French and Indian War. Okay, number three, who won the French and Indian War? What did you just answer? Yeah, it says who ended up winning the war? Okay. England? England won the war. Well, eventually, yeah. Okay, number four, what important paper, that letter they wrote, what declared America's freedom from England? What was the name of that letter they wrote? The Declaration of Independence.
It's right here. Wait.
The Declaration of Independence. All right, so let's look at 64 before we answer the question. So I told you that, excuse me, that there's a holiday that is celebrated because of this day. So on July 4th, 1776, that's when they wrote the letter. Excuse me, that's when they wrote the letter. And because of that day, America celebrates its independence every year on the 4th of July. You can call it July 4th, Independence Day, or the 4th of July. That's the time when the holiday is celebrated on the Independence Day. So the first one was July 4th, 1776, but the 4th of July is celebrated every year in July on the 4th. So number five, it asks us, on what holiday does America celebrate its birthday? On the Independence Day or 4th of July. Either one is fine.
I'm doing the 4th of July. That's what they celebrate. 4th of July.
Whichever one is fine. Just write it. Okay. Okay. All right, good. So that is it for social studies. Let's go ahead and cover our reading and we'll be done. All right, reading page 120. Did you read your pages yesterday after Zoom was over?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
were supposed to read yesterday's pages.
That's what I'm saying. Very there. There. If I were a big bear and I were a big bear too. If I was a big bear. And so then no,
Let's go ahead, 120. All right, Dennis, you want to start us off on page 120?
In our little book.
Yeah, our reading. Quest for Adventures. What? Oh, I think he said it. Okay, 120. All right, kids in for one, kids in for Christy. Elijah, you were sensitive for you spelling words? So you mean to tell me this whole time that's not what you were doing?
Is it again?
Page 120, 120.
But Jesus and no, but this they wrote. They wrote with a last penny. They wrote Jesus.
Yeah, can you? All right, go ahead, Dennis, 120. Unmute your screen as well, Dennis, and page 120.
One hidden for
Wait, page 120
yeah,
in your reading.
yeah.
Okay.
One kitten for Chrissy.
Y'all too?
Chrissy.
He goes to that side.
Chrissy was a girl who had too many kittens. Chrissy did not think Chrissy did not think so. But put her mother and father to you 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 may keep just one kitten. They told her you will have to give the rest of them away. We just can't have a house full of kittens. Chrissy chose the roundest tallow kitten for her own. She put the others in a basket and set it inside her wagon. Then then away she went with 5 kittens in her basket.
Okay. All right, so Christy has a problem. What do her parents think she has too much of? She has too many kittens, right? Did Christy think she had too many kittens? No. What did her parents tell her she had to do? She can only keep how many? 1. And what would she do with the rest? Okay. And so she went to the kittens, right? She put the others in a basket and she put one in the wagon, but she's left with how many? No. 1. She had 5. She had 5 total. Yes, she had the 5 in the basket, and then she had her 1. Okay, page 121, Joshua.
Mrs. Jenny was sweeping the sidewalk. What beautiful kittens, she said, looking into the basket. Would you like one? Christy asked. Indeed, I would, said Mrs. Genty. But you see, I have some goldfish. A kitten might eat the goldfish.
Okay. All right. So as she was walking with her kittens in the wagon, she met Mrs. McGinty, right? And what did she ask her? She would like what?
Some kittens.
If she would like a kitten. Okay. But Miss McGinty said she had what kind of animal?
A goldfish.
She had some goldfish, right? And she was kind of like, I don't think that would work, right? Having her cat, having a cat with her goldfish. Okay, let's look at 122, Faith.
Maybe we could trade the Mr. Plenty. Harry and brown flags. She was the exit Miss McGinty. So a kitchen of snowball white and set a golden away with four kittens in her basket. Goldfish and a boat. She pulled her wagon quietly because she was coming to Miss Earth's house. Earth squeaky around her mom, noisy children. Murphy, Murphy, said Chrissy. I have some nice quiet kittens to give away. Did you say quiet kittens? Asked Miss Murphy. Let's take a look. She looked into the basket. The kittens were making a purring sound. When Miss Murphy said, she went inside and came out again with a parrot in the cage.
Okay. All right, so Christy, so after she said that, Christy said, well, maybe we could trade. And so Mrs. McGinty goes inside the house, right? She gets her goldfish and she trades. She gives Christy her goldfish and Christy gives her which cat? The white one. Okay. So now Christy is down to 4 kittens. So she's pulling her wagon and she gets to Mrs. Murphy's house, right? And so, hello, Miss Murphy, she said. And Miss Murphy didn't like noise. So when Christy was going to sell her kitten, she said, I can give you a nice, quiet kitten, right? So she's looking and she sees all that. And she goes back in the house. And what does she come outside with?
Parrot.
A parrot. All right, 123, Kinley.
My book. That was nice.
Go ahead.
This is Skipper, she said. A sea captain, said him to me. He sings the sailor's hornpipe. Would you like to trade a nice quiet kitten for a nice noisy parrot? Oh yes, agreed Chrissy. Miss Murphy chose a kitten of smoky gray. Away went Chrissy down the street with 3 kittens in a basket, 2 goldfish in a bowl, and 1 green parrot in a cage. Chrissy turned the corner and stopped to watch Miss Wavy. He was making mounds of orange and apples on his fruit stand.
Okay. So she comes out and she says, this is Skipper. A captain had given him to her. So what did she ask Christy to do with her parrot? She wanted to do what? Trade. She said, could we trade? And Christy agreed. So now Christy has 2 extra animals. She has goldfish and a parrot. So now she has 3 kittens, though. Her parents told her she couldn't keep them all, so she's getting rid of them. Okay, so next she turns the corner and now she catches up to Miss Wiggins. Let's look at 124, Carson.
Pesky mice. Butter, Daisy, nibbling, mice, and what you is considered all of them. I could do 2 minutes, Mr. Wiggins said. He thinks of 2 that are midnight, but he smiled, come crazy, come with me. On the store was a box full of wiggly brown puppies. Take your pick, Mr. Wiggins said. Christy told the puppy with the floppiest ears and the droppiest tail. And away she went with 1 kitten in her basket, 2 goldfish in a bowl, 1 green parrot in a cage, and a wiggly brown puppy in a box. She stopped at Mr. Green's house. He was chasing a shiny black rooster, pesky rooster. She shouted, I'm going to put him in the soup pot. Every morning he crows and wakes me up.
Okay, so Miss Wiggins, she sees Christy's kittens and she wanted how many? 2. Miss Wiggins wanted 2, right? And so she tells Christy, she says, I would like 2 kittens. And she tells her there's a box of what behind the building? Puppies? Are y'all reading while he's reading? So he tells her, he tells her that there are a box of puppies behind the buildings. And so she went and she picked a puppy, right? And so she's down to 1 kitten, but she has a goldfish, a parrot, and now she has a dog. Okay, so she stops at Mr. Green's house, and so he's outside fighting with a rooster. Okay, 125. Dennis, you can read 125.
Oh, please don't call Kirsty. Give him to me. I'll give you a kitten. Mr. Green looked pleased. That's a fine idea, he said. My little girl would love this striped kitten for her birthday tomorrow. He put the rooster in a small crate and away Percy went with an empty basket, 2 goldfish in a bowl, 1 green parrot in a cage,
a wiggly brown puppy in a box, and a shiny black rooster in a crate. She felt very happy and proud when she got home. She called, "Mother, Father, I found a home for every single kitten. Aren't you glad?"
Okay, so she sees Mr. Green. He has the rooster. He has the rooster. And once again, she makes another trade. She gives him the last kitten and she takes the rooster. So she gets back home and she's feeling proud because she did get rid of the kittens. That's what her parents told her, right? But, you know, she has all these other animals now. Okay, 126. Oh, that's it. So yeah, so she did do what her parents said. She got rid of them, but they didn't tell her to get more. But you know, she just, you know, maybe she didn't realize what she had done. So she did obey, but she kind of, you know, messed up a little bit with that. Okay. All right. So that's it for our reading, guys. So guys, I hope y'all have a good day. That was the end of our Zoom. I'll see you guys on tomorrow for our phonics test. Okay. Bye-bye.